Nowadays, most athletic clothing is focused on getting rid of sweat. The buzzword is wicking, using fabric that moves sweat away from the body to keep us dry. But could that actually be the wrong way to deal with sweat? The makers of X-Bionic clothes believe there's a better way to design athletic apparel, a way to turn sweat into energy.
If you just ask yourself the question, why do we sweat? And what sense does it make to take the sweat away from the body? Then we wouldn't sweat. You know, the evolution would have developed a human being without sweating.
AMPA is an independent facility that tests materials, textiles, and technologies for clients like the Swiss military. Here in this lab, they're testing clothing made by a company called X-Bionic.
If the body core temperature goes above 40 degrees Celsius, at one stage you will not be able to control your muscles anymore, or it can be even more dangerous and go to a heart attack or a complete collapse of the whole thermoregulation system.
The temperature we feel on the outside, on our skin, is important. It's the body's core temperature, deep inside, around the heart. That's critical.
Very simply, our body only can perform with a core temperature of 37 centigrade. And he takes nearly all his energy to keep this regulation.
John's clothing is wicking the sweat away from his torso, so it evaporates not on his skin, but on the outside of his shirt. The sensors inside John's body indicate that his core temperature peaked at a dangerous 104 degrees. Our thermal imaging camera reveals that it's not helping his body maintain thermal regulation. In less than 20 minutes, he lost over a quart of sweat and became seriously dehydrated. The makers of X-Bionic sporting gear believe that moisture wicking, moving sweat away from the skin, actually works against our body's built-in cooling system.
You will produce more sweat because the body is trying to fight against this overheating. And if the sweat cannot evaporate properly because you're wearing the wrong clothing, then it will produce more and more and more and more. We call that a vicious circle that then at the end will lead to a heat stroke, like a heart attack.
As an ultra triathlete concentrating on long distance, it's very important to have technological clothing, to have ideal temperature inside the body.
Even if he ran an entire marathon in this 125-degree oven, Vincenzo could maintain a core body temperature below 99 degrees Fahrenheit or 37 centigrade. That's because the X-Bionic clothing works with his body's evolutionary cooling systems, not against them.
We see quite well how the garment is functioning. We have the production here in the middle of the chest that is the highest. It will be then wicked laterally, and so it can evaporate on the whole part of the chest. If we can double the area that would be wet, we would also have the double cooling.
X-Bionic's researchers have developed a unique fabric that uses several techniques to keep an athlete cool. Rather than simply wick the sweat away from the skin, the X-Bionic fabric traps sweat in microducts. As the sweat travels through the ducts, it absorbs excess body heat and evaporates on the warm outer surface, releasing the excess heat away from the body. Some of this moisture condenses and is absorbed back into the skin in a cooler state. And panels of microducts are built in where the body produces the most sweat: the chest, armpits, and back. These panels help channel the remaining moisture and evaporation over a wider surface area on the skin, providing maximum cooling effects. So X-Bionic gear works for an incredible endurance athlete under any weather conditions. But can it make a difference for an incredibly average athlete? After cooling down and rehydrating, John enters the climate chamber again, but this time he's wearing X-Bionic gear. And the difference is quickly apparent.
Doesn't feel nearly as hot.
In the regular gear, his core body temperature shot up to 104 degrees. He used over 97% of his energy just trying to keep cool and failed. But in the same brain-melting 125-degree heat, John's core temperature never climbs above 100 degrees, allowing him to use his energy for performance. An amazing difference created simply by wearing the cutting-edge clothing engineered by X-Bionic.
My body was much cooler. All of my sweat stays on me so that my core body temperature stayed very low.